A finance worker stared at her screen and wired 200 million Hong Kong dollars to a boardroom of ghosts. She wasn't hacked. She was convinced. Because the people on the call looked real, they sounded real, and in Hong Kong, seeing is believing is how money moves. So when a CFO says it's confidential, you don't ask questions. You obey, because obedience is what corporations reward. This firm builds the physical world, but the robbery happened inside a rectangle of pixels. And the pixels wore suits. She hesitated at first. That was the only safe moment she got. Then they offered the cure for doubt. A meeting. On the call, it wasn't one face. It was a whole leadership team. Social proof is a weapon. Over a week, 15 transfers, not one big hit, a controlled bleed. And here's the nightmare. The company's servers weren't breached. This wasn't a cyber attack. It was a reality attack. Somewhere else, someone watched her cursor. They didn't need her password. They needed her respect. Then the spell breaks the dumbest way. A normal message to London. The reply is a guillotine. What transaction? That's the moment she realizes. She never met a CFO. She met an image, and the image stole 25 million US dollars. Now, the question isn't who clicked. It's who can you trust after video? Because this was the first big heist of the deepfake era, and it happened in the brightest office you can imagine. Arup isn't some shaky startup. It's an engineering religion. They build the world rich people live inside, cathedrals of concrete, and billion-dollar skylines. Which means their finance team doesn't move money. They move gravity. Kowloon Tong? A bright office inside a mall built for people who never sweat. That's the trick. When everything looks expensive, you assume it's secure. Meet the associate, mid-level, trusted. Cleared to push 7 figures without a meeting. She wasn't reckless. She was efficient. Then an email lands. It says one word that bypasses adulthood. Confidential, meaning don't loop anybody in. And it's from the CFO. Her instincts fire. This feels wrong. In the old scams, that's where it ends. She calls London, case closed. But these guys didn't need email. They needed theater. They invite her into a boardroom, a synthetic one. And that's when her training loses to her eyes, because corporate hierarchy is a pressure system, and the CFO is the top of the tank. She's looking at a suit, a title, a face. She doesn't know she's the only human in the room. And the deal is always the same: secret acquisition, because secrecy is the perfect solvent. It dissolves policy. And once you accept the secret, you accept the isolation. Now we go inside the meeting, second by second, because the scam wasn't the wire, the scam was the performance. And she applauded. Because in this story, the villain isn't in the network, he's in the meeting. Next, the warning that made the entire compliance world sit up. Seven days later, she tries to close the loop, and that's when reality answers. What transaction? 4 words that destroy a week of her life. Now she has to do the only thing left: tell the police. And the deepfake is just the key. Because humans forgive bad video, they don't forgive disrespect. Now we hit the money. 15 transactions. Not because they were careful, because they understood limits. And each time, the same ritual: cursor, pause, authority. Click. The cleanest crimes don't break systems, they borrow them. Now the silent jury. The extra faces aren't there to talk. They're there to stop her brain from saying the obvious. This can't be real. Because if 5 people are watching, you don't challenge the boss. This is technology-enhanced obedience. And then comes the threat. Not loud, just humiliating. Can I count on you? That's corporate code for don't embarrass me. She tries to resist. The script cuts her off because the scam needs one thing: no verification. So they weaponize secrecy. Quiet period. Tier 1 deal. Need to know. Listen to the first line. It's not a request. It's a command. We don't have much time. Notice the structure. Urgency first, questions later. On February 4th, 2024, Hong Kong police on step up to a podium. They don't name the company, but they describe the crime like a horror story, a multi-person video call, and every face was fake. That sentence changes the rules, because now, video is evidence of nothing. Notice what police don't say. No ransomware, no firewall breach, because the attack surface wasn't IT, it was authority. In this heist, the deepfake isn't the magic. The magic is the room it creates. A room where nobody can contradict the CFO. A room where the only person who can stop it is the person being targeted. Weeks later, the name leaks. And the victim is finally spoken out loud. A-R-U-P. Their message is corporate triage. Operations unaffected. Financial stability intact. Translation, we lost the money, but please keep trusting us with your blueprints. Now, how do you fake a boardroom in real time? Step 1. Harvest, public speeches, webinars. Any clean audio. Step 2. Build the mask, a face that follows the operator like skin. Step 3. Clone the voice, not perfect, just confident. Step 4. Hide the flaws with a bad connection. And the final step is the only one that matters. Put other executives in the frame, because 5 faces don't make it true. They make it harder to say no. This is the new compliance problem. Every verification tool you had can be forged. So what stops it? Not better video, better rules. Next, the aftermath inside Arup. Because someone always pays for a scandal, even when the weapon was invisible. Let's follow the consequences. Inside the company, the first response is always the same: contain. They don't start with empathy, they start with exposure. Because Arup doesn't just sell services, they hold other people's secrets. So the first question is, brutal, Reid, murmurs. Were we hacked? And the answer is worse. No. You were persuaded.
You need to approve it now.
That's when companies do what they always do. They look for a human price tag. A chair gets hot, a resignation becomes mutual, because the org chart needs a sacrifice. Meanwhile, the associate lives with the moment that never ends, because the transfer wasn't one click. It was 15 decisions. And each decision was backed by a face on video. Here's the part banks hate. The money stayed local first. 5 accounts. Like 5 drains. That's not theft. That's laundering design. And once it fans out, recovery becomes ma-ease. So Arup does the only thing left. They rewrite the rules. Because video can't be your proof anymore. It can only be your warning. The new gold standard is boring. A second channel. And that's the punchline. I makes the future look like 1998, but none of that brings back the money. So if you want the real villain, stop looking at the deepfake. Look at the pipeline, the accounts, the handlers, the mules, because the meeting was the bait. The exit was already built. Next, we follow the money through Hong Kong, and you'll see why the deepfake was the least sophisticated part. Hong Kong is a wiring hub. Fast money, clean suits, cleaner exits. The transfers didn't fly overseas first. They stayed local. That's not an accident. That's how you buy time. Those accounts aren't accounts. They're disposable people. Mule accounts. The plumbing of modern fraud. Once money hits a mule, the clock is minutes, because the next move is layering. Break it, split it, scatter it. By the time compliance blinks, the money is already amidst. This is why the deepfake wasn't the genius. It was the distraction. Everyone talks about the face. Nobody talks about the exit lanes, because those lanes were built before she ever clicked Join Meeting. So what can you do? You stop trusting presence. You trust a proof that's expensive to fake. A second channel, a known number, a callback code, and you write one rule. Nobody can argue with. If it's urgent, it's verified. Because urgency is the fraudster's favorite accent. Arup survived. Most companies won't learn this way, because the real cost isn't 200 million Hong Kong dollars. It's the collapse of seeing is believing. A boardroom used to mean power. Now it can mean software. So the next time your boss calls you on video, treat it like an email. And if they say it's confidential, assume it's a trap until proven otherwise. Because the new crime isn't stealing access, it's stealing consent. And once consent is captured, the system helps the thief. That's the synthetic boardroom. And it won't be the last, because now the boardroom can be generated. This investigation is closed, but the system is still leaking. If you want the truth behind the next billionaire collapse, subscribe, because the only way to beat the fraud is to study the mechanics. I'm Marcus Reid, and I'm already working on the next file. In the meantime, tell me in the comments, would you have wired the money? Be honest. Watch this video next to see how a $4 billion crypto empire vanished in 48 hours. Trust nothing.